Welcome all to the NewCrown podcast. I am Daryl, and I'm back here with a new guest, someone familiar, and you might recognize him from a documentary I made recently. You want to
Mm.
introduce yourself?
What's up, guys? My name is Mohammed Yusuf GAWISH. Did the documentary recently with Daryl. That was amazing. Probably you would know me for the restaurant I own or I run. So yeah, that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah. So to the documentary, I'm curious to your reaction. What did you think when you first watched it on TV?
Honestly, goosebumps. Like
We
like
made it.
we've known
We
each
made
other.
it.
Yeah,
We
we've
made
known each other. Yeah, I mean, like we've known each other for almost like
It's been 10
what?
years now, no? 10 years now, no? Almost.
Almost 10
Yeah.
years, like 9 years,
Yeah.
almost 10 years. So it's like crazy how both of us we've grown and how we all wanted to be doctors, and at the end, you're doing movies and I'm I'm running a business. Life changes. It's crazy,
So
crazy, crazy.
when you watch the documentary, I'm curious, like, what do you like as a as a watcher, not as like someone who's in it. Like, what do you think
Yeah.
about the actual format and like how was like the final cut? Would you?
Honestly, I really enjoyed it. And that's not because I'm in it. It's or because you did it. I genuinely enjoyed it. It was very it made you like feel some like it felt, I don't know how to explain it. Like I feel like I was proud, that there's some kids like us that we come from like parents like immigrants, and like we've been through the same struggles more or less. Like it was nice to see like everyone's point of view of how they experienced it, and it was beautifully done, like
Did you
chef's
get?
kiss, right?
Thank you, thank you. Did you get any responses from your from previous friends from high school? Like, yo, hey, you're on TV, dog.
No, honestly, I didn't. But I had a couple customers coming at the restaurant, and they were like, "Aren't you the kid from CBC documentary?" I'm like, "Yeah, have you watched it?" And you're like, "Yeah, you look like him." I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty much me." Oh, and that's your dad. I'm like, "Yeah, that's my dad." So it was crazy. Like even the documentary,
Yeah.
like a couple customers that were like, "Oh, you're the kid from CBC, right?" I'm like, "I guess so."
Yeah.
So no, it was a great experience. Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
an interesting thing because like I had an interview with a lady on from CBC on like on the radio, and she was telling me how essentially she would go to Le Canal, and so
Yeah.
when she watched it, she was like, "Wow, I recognize that place, yo,
It's
that's crazy."
him. It's,
Yeah, yeah.
it's
And so I was like, "Wow, this is crazy," because I think she's Lebanese or something. So like
right.
she kind of like related a lot to the topics at hand, especially with like the relationship with the with us and our parents and like
Mm,
how we kind of deal with different sort of perspectives on life and how not here we're more free and they're more like you should
more
stick to this.
strict. Yeah, yeah. You
Yeah,
should be this
which
way.
which I'm curious what was the reaction of your parents after the documentary, if you guys have they
Well,
watched it.
honestly, like they loved it, but my mom was pissed off that we didn't film her. So I was like, "Come on, like, come on." But no, no, she loved it. The pictures, it reminded her of all the times we've spent and all the conversations we used to have, the
Mm,
fights we used to have, and now we just laugh it off and like move on with it. And then, like, I told you, like, once, like, I'm not exaggerating. Like, once I've seen like my mom and my dad in the documentary, I started like having goosebumps, and I started like tearing up. Like,
mm,
damn, like time flies, and like sometimes I used to be so mean to them, and like now I understand where they're coming from, and
yeah.
so I I was sentimental. Like I felt like, damn, it's crazy. I felt guilty for the stuff I used to do when I was a teenager, and like we didn't understand when like when you're a teenager, you think
Mm.
you have everything under control, but when, like when you face reality, that's when like It's really
Yes,
not what it is, right?
it's very different. It's very different. But like, yeah, that's why, like, because the whole point also was to like initiate maybe conversation between parents and their kids. I know, like in other instances, they actually have some people who didn't really want to show their parents the
Mm,
documentary because they were kind of still scared of how they would react, and maybe they would be like, they feel it's kind of an attack or whatever. So I was curious, like, I know you and your dad especially, because you guys have like, like when you said in the documentary, you guys have, yeah, you guys kind of
yeah.
butt heads a lot. Like you guys have like an open relationship now. You can have like a nice talk
Well, ho-
conversation.
honestly, like since I've taken over the business more and more,
Mm,
I feel like he trusts me even more, and I feel like right now, because he doesn't have the energy to like work as like before, he understands where I'm coming from. He starts opening up on stuff that I do well, which is rare when it comes to my dad. My dad is a type of person, right, that he would compliment me in front of, like, he would compliment me to everyone except me, you know? Like, it's like, y- come on, tell me I'm good. Like, tell me I'm
yeah.
all right, you know? But no, he would compliment me to everyone else except myself. So now, like, the fact that he does it more frequently, that's a huge step. Huge step.
I,
You know,
I
like,
think I think this way of like not trying to boast your ego. It's like I won't tell him anything so he doesn't think he's.
yeah, I get it, but like sometimes, you're like, you want validation from your dad or your from mom, like, I'm like, yo, give me a bit of like boost me up, like boost me up.
Yeah.
But no, it's I feel like my relationship with my dad is way better than it used to be. I think when I used to be in CJEP or even the beginning of university, it was rocky, very, very rocky. We used to fight probably almost every day. We used to fight. It was like he wouldn't get me, I wouldn't get him.
Mm,
I wanted to do my way, he wanted to do it his way. But now I feel like we understand each other because not only I grew up, but he also sees the effort I put in, and he sees the difference that's happening in like the
mm.
business, or even as me as a person.
Yeah.
So I feel like he trusts me more than
I- I- I'm
before.
I'm curious that because I know who you were in high school, and
Oh,
so I'm curious growing up, especially what were those conversations like? Was it very much like when you have like bad grades and whatnot? Like what was the
oof.
reaction? It was kind of very very like aggressive, kind of like just what?
uh, don't get me started, man. No, but honestly, my dad was like the type of dad that if you didn't get like 85 and plus, then you're a disappointment to the whole family. Not only my family, but your cousins back home in Egypt. Uh, they're gonna talk badly about you. You're not gonna have any future. And I'm like, come on, dad. Like, imagine you're like a 15-year-old kid trying to enjoy life.
Yeah,
And that's what you get from your dad. You get 80%. You're like, no, that's not good enough. No, no, no.
yeah,
So like, honestly, I've never been like the best student, right? I
yeah.
had summer classes. I felt I felt classes. you know. For me personally, I've never been this like studious or like this. School is important, and like
Yeah.
like I didn't care. I used to go to school just to have fun, meet
Mm,
with people, enjoy my time. And honestly, if I had a chance to repeat everything and change it up, I wouldn't change a single thing.
mm.
Honestly, I I've been kicked out from CJEP that day, bro.
Yeah,
Oh damn.
I remember that day. I was curious about what happened that day, man.
Oh, 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 damn. Yeah, me and CJEP, like, honestly, I never went to classes. I used to play cards. I used to have fun. But honestly, no regrets whatsoever. I've lived my life, and that's the most important. And you know what? Like, it's, I wouldn't, like, obviously, I'm not going to tell my kids to do exactly what I did. But like you gotta enjoy these moments, especially when you're young, because once you grow up, you got responsibilities, you have bills to pay, you have I don't know what, your car payments, your phone bills, rent, whatever. So I'm crazy. So no, my dad, when that day, that was a dark, dark day.
So,
Ah,
so I'm curious now that you're managing the business kind of on your terms, like
right.
what do you think is like the biggest struggle? I guess you'd say you call yourself an entrepreneur now. Safe to say,
Yeah, yeah,
like
we could say that. Yeah.
yeah. So like you're kind of carrying the business now. So what do you think are the biggest challenges, especially in regards to like the sales? Because like the COVID, we understand that like that period was
Yeah,
hard. But like
yeah.
nowadays, like everything's coming back open. Everything's more like you're used to. So what do you think are the biggest challenges as the entrepreneur, especially of a restaurant that so famous?
I really, I really think that the biggest challenge for having a business is keeping your workers happy.
Mm,
I think that right now we've already built an image. Customers really enjoy us. We obviously, any business, they're gonna have a couple complaints here or there.
mm,
Whatever, it
yeah.
happens. Uh, we're not perfect. Any business, you could have a top rated restaurant, and sometimes something happens, and there's a lot people. What I feel like is that customers, there's some customers, they don't understand the pressure we're under.
Hmm.
And that, especially during rushes, during weekends, like everyone wants their food at the same time, they want in a specific way.
Mm,
They light oil, gluten free, a vegetarian, whatever. And then, like, for cooks and for like waiters and for all of us, there's a lot of pressure, and I feel like customers, they don't know that. And what happens is that when the customers take out their frustration on workers, then it it puts me in a very uncomfortable position, because there there's a lack of workers, and customers yelling at workers, it doesn't help the issue. And workers, they could just say, you know what, I have enough of this abuse, and I should go work somewhere else. But like keeping the workers happy. And that's my number one priority as a manager, as a like business owner, is that, because obviously it's not their business, but I want them to feel like that they're gonna work with their hearts, right?
mm,
I don't want them to say, "Oh, here we go. I'm gonna have to go work at Le Canal or whatever." I want them to be okay. I'm working at Le Canal. I'm doing decent money.
mm,
It's fun. I'm not the type of boss to be really like very strict. Like you got to do this or that's it. That's all.
mhm,
I'm more like more like I'm friends with them, but at the same time, business means business, and I
yeah.
try like controlling them. So it's hard, especially when like other businesses are looking for workers. So they're gonna come and
Yeah.
say, "Hey, I could give you a better salary. I could give you this, that, that."
Mm.
So it's very important. I think that's the number one like issue, like not issue, but challenge to deal with as a business owner. Yeah.
So how do you deal with competition? Because like I know a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of food places around you, and I know like I mean Fairview is not that far, so like
Yeah.
they can offer a very cheaper meal. So like
Yeah.
what was your tactic to overcome I guess like the competition?
Honestly, once you're once you're for us, competition is not really an issue, right?
Mm,
We feel like competition comes and goes, and once you have your name, and once you keep on keeping the same quality of food, the same quality of service, everything is the same thing as day one, then you're good to go.
mm,
And one thing that my mom told me, which I find it very inspiring, is that I was explaining, I was like telling her, like, "Hey, mom, I have this customer. He's been pissing me off lately, and like he's been acting this type of way, whatever." And she's like, "One thing, one thing you have to know is that to run a business, you always have to run it as if it's your first day of business."
mm.
because they're gonna come, they're gonna bitch around, they're gonna be a pain in the ass, but you're gonna act as if it's your first day of business and you're trying to please everyone.
Mhm.
So since that day, really, once I see a customer that's like pissing me off or like acting in a certain type of way, I try and say, you know what, put my ego on the side. Like I had a customer saying, hey, you don't know how to run your business, whatever. So I'm like, deep down, you're like frustrated, you know,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
put your heart, sweat,
yeah.
tears, like even blood. Number of times I've cut myself
Yeah,
working.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, literally, you know. And like when a customer comes says, oh, you don't know how to run your business, then it hurts, you know. But you got to leave it on the side, keep going. And I think that's the best thing that my mom told me about for business wise. Yeah.
what would you think like how do you manage the stress and the sort of the pressures, especially having not only being at your family restaurant, but
Mm.
also having being your own, trying to be your own man, your own, your own your best version of yourself. You don't want to kind of be like, oh, the reason why he got the restaurant is because his dad owns it or his mom
Mm.
owned it. It's more like you want to like prove to the world that actually you merited this position. So like I'm curious, like how do you like manage all of that? And also, obviously everyone has bad days. So like,
Obviously, yeah.
do you have like a routine where you kind of like trying to like, there's a Mohammed on the side. It's like there's like the normal Mohammed, and then there's a businessman Mohammed, or is it like how do you manage it?
Um, for me personally, I'm an introvert, and
Mm,
maybe it doesn't look like it, right? But I'm very when it comes to business, I give my everything. I'm very like very open. Hey, how are you? Whatever. But once Mohammed closes this restaurant at night, it's a completely different Mohammed. Mohammed wants to stay at home, watch his series, his animes, read his books, whatever. Could go to the gym when he has the time, whatever. That's the Mohammed like that I
yeah.
am, you know? So how like my routine really, I wake up in the morning, get myself ready, go directly, so many phone calls to do in the morning, suppliers, customers sending me texts, what's your god, whatever, blah blah blah. So you got to deal with that. And then really it's, I think it goes naturally. Like I wouldn't say it's like what's like specific, like what to do specifically, because every day is a complete different day.
Mm,
Like every day, like there's some stuff you're gonna see that you're never gonna see in another day, you know?
mm,
So you gotta, what I would suggest to people is that you shouldn't, and that's what my mom told me, you shouldn't take everything or every comment at heart. You shouldn't. This is part of the biz. This is what you got to do to survive, right? So people have seen, like, people have seen me grown.
mm.
Like, I have customers that they've been there for like almost 8, 9 years, and they've seen me become from a teenager to the man I am today. So if they've seen the difference, they've seen how calmer I am. They've seen I used to be when I used to be young, I used to tell my dad, "You gotta fire him! You gotta fire him! He doesn't know how to work. You gotta fire him! No, no, no!" Or like this
Yeah,
customer is breaking my head. No, I don't want him anymore. No, no, no. I used to be so reactive,
yeah.
and my dad used to like that. That was one of the fights we used to have. Actually, is
Mm,
that I used to be so reactive to my like to so many scenarios. I used to panic. I used to be a headless chicken, right? When I'm under pressure, then that's it. You lose me. I start panicking. But I feel like since I've grown up, I feel like I've learned so much from my dad that I don't mind the pressure at all. Like I feel happy when there's pressure now. Like
mm.
I feel people are running around, and then there's me laughing, smiling, having fun with the workers,
Yeah,
having fun with the people, the customers. Because mm, if there's no pressure, then that means there's no business, and if there's no business, then I'm not happy,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But if there's a rush, if there's customers, people to like to deal with, whatever, I feel happy. I feel like productive. I feel like, you know what, there's a lot of stuff I have to do, and it makes me feel happy, you know.
Mm.
So it's a different. There's every day is a different day.
It
Every day is a different day.
so I'm curious when you find the workers you work with, because obviously it's like it's like creating a football team. You gotta have a nice chemistry together, you know. So
Mm,
when you find your players, you got to make sure that everyone has good chemistry. So how does it that you find these people? Like, are you like, is it family friends? It's very much like you go online. You said like an application. You kind of like get vibe it.
so yeah, so basically, people they just come. They ask
Oh,
for work.
okay.
They literally ask for work. Hey, listen, I'm a student. I need a work, or I need a job or whatever. Or we could post it on our social media, or we could post it on Indeed or whatever, or on Facebook, and people send us messages. You know what I feel like, what I think is the most important to come back from what I said before is that the chemistry, exact, like I need to have chemistry with each and single person in my
Mm,
team, because I want them to be happy, but not only happy, I want them to be like, um, I want them to work with their hearts. I want them to work like as if I'm working at their place, right? And I feel like the best way of doing that is to not like tell them what to do, but in a certain way, but also show your passion. If you're not going to show your passion, if you're going to be bossing around, no, you do this, no, you do that, no, it's wrong what you're doing, then as a worker, you wouldn't feel comfortable, right?
yeah.
I like example, I used to work in a bank, right? And my manager, like honestly, I don't know if I could curse or not. I've been cursing since
You
the
can curse. You
beginning,
curse.
but
You curse. You curse.
okay, all right, okay, perfect. So yeah, no, she was a total bitch, right? She used to like, she used to tell me what to do in a very like passive aggressive way,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
which I hate. Like I ew. Anyways, so she used to tell me, and me as a worker, you know, I used to have my dad's business, right? And it's still my dad's business. But I used to finish the stuff she told me to do, and then I used to think like, how am I being bossing? Like, how is she bossing me around when I literally have a business, and and I could just leave anytime, right? So
Yeah,
it's not to be cocky or anything. It's just like there's some ways of telling people what to do, right?
yeah, yeah.
And it's, for me, the chemistry. It's not only the chemistry between me and the worker, but it's also between the workers, right? So obviously there's going to be a worker that has an issue with another worker, so you got to deal with that also. You got to like calm down both parties, and then make jokes around so they could become friends or whatever. So yeah, no, I feel like Tetris. When, as a owner, business owner, it's like you're
Yeah,
playing Tetris. It's you got to put the piece in every single place
yeah,
just so it could be good, right? So
yeah.
yeah, it's I like it. I love
For,
playing it.
for someone who actually wants to like work at Le Canal or at any, well, I mean it's specific to your case because you're the one managing it. Are you very like nitpicky about skill set? So if someone who's a cook, are you kind of like really you want the best of the best, or you kind of just like,
No,
worst case we'll just train with you and we'll see what happens and
honestly, I think the best way, you can't nitpick. You can't be beggars don't choose, right?
yeah,
Beggars don't
beggars heavy
choose.
choosers, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So whenever someone wants to work, as long as they have the intention of working, or as long as they are committed to working, then I don't mind. You could be anyone, but as long as you're committed to work, we're going to train you. We're going to teach you everything. Even if you don't know how to cut a freaking tomato, we're going to teach you how to cut a tomato. But as
Mm,
long as you have the passion and the energy, and you want to work, you have the feeling of working. But if someone is gonna come and tell me, yeah, but I don't want to work this, I don't want to work
mm.
that, I don't want to this, then I'm like, I'm sorry, buddy. Then it's like you can't choose where you want to be
Yeah,
working, right?
yeah, yeah,
In my opinion. And for us, my dad also always says this to workers, that like we're trying to like, everyone in the restaurant has to know to do everything.
Yeah,
So if anyone is sick or absent or whatever, they could
they could
switch and
yeah fill in the gaps.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So no, I rather have people that are they have no skill and train them. Yeah.
For in terms of the actual restaurant itself, because now obviously like there's a lot of technologies evolving and stuff, and like back in the day broadcasting your what do you call it, your restaurant or your company whatever as an
Mhm.
advertising was a big thing, but like nowadays you have access to social media and all that stuff. So I'm curious, like, do you guys actually you guys prioritize branding as well and kind of like commercializing your brand, or you kind of more just kind of local, you want to remain local? What's the vibe?
Well, that's a great question because my dad, when he used to run the business, he didn't believe in marketing, right?
Hmm.
He believed on only he still had the mindset of maybe like 20 years ago where people are gonna enjoy the food and they're gonna talk to each other
Hmm.
and they're gonna bring their friends and
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
how
yeah, yeah.
the
Word of
business
mouth, word of
rolls,
mouth,
right?
word of mouth, word of mouth.
Word of mouth,
Yeah.
exactly, right? It's not like this anymore. And
Mm.
I've been begging to my dad. I was like, Dad, it doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work. So since I took care, like since I like managing everything right now, I've written and I want to give a huge shout out to my marketing guy if it's possible.
Yeah, go ahead.
Luca Mingione. This guy is a sweetheart. I'm giving you a shout out. Honestly, he has a company called marketing.ca.
Mm.
Um, he's a sweetheart. He basically took care of everything.
Mm.
So the videos we do now, all the posts, all everything, he's taking care of it. And honestly, we've seen a huge difference since we started doing marketing
Nice.
more on social media, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, because this is how it works now. This is I literally have people coming and asking for the TikTok guy. I'm like, who, who is the TikTok guy? And I'm like, and they're like,
You.
you. I'm like, ah, damn. Guess I'm the TikTok guy now. So yeah, no. Marketing wise, it's very important, especially if you want to grow your business afterwards.
Yeah,
If you want to have multiple businesses, multiple restaurants, or whatever in general, right? It's very important to do some marketing. Yeah,
I'm
very
curious.
important.
Like, do you guys wish to expand and maybe open restaurants across Montreal or anywhere else, or is just you kind of want to stay local?
No, obviously, it's very obviously we want to open up multiple restaurants, right?
Mm.
Um, it's not easy to open a restaurant like this, right? It's not it's, uh, it's not given to everyone, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We're still looking for places, couple places here and there, but for now there's nothing happening, but we're getting there.
We're getting it. Yeah, yeah.
I'm just putting it out there that just be on the lookout.
Maybe there is. So, because I'm curious, because like also, the restaurant you have right now, I mean, it's fairly small. Like like it's not small, but like it's fairly small. So I'm curious, like, you guys also wish to like maybe open up a bigger restaurant, like maybe like
Oh,
expand,
definitely,
because also especially
definitely.
because also like you guys don't are not a restaurant, just for people who don't know anything about the canal. You guys not only a fish restaurant, but you also like sell fish.
Hmm.
And so like it'd be interesting to actually have like a big, like an actual store specifically for that, and then another one for like the restaurant will have a massive, but what do you think?
Definitely. We actually wanted to expand, have a bigger place, right? And it's crazy because we used to have really a smaller canal, a very very small, only 30 seats, and it was like it was hell, right? It was 30 people, that's it, no more people.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I there's a day I remember that day. My dad and one of the workers and my mom, they were working that day in the smaller canal, and that day they only made $8
eight
in a
bucks
day. The day they finished with $8.
How's that possible? No one came in, like,
So
whoa.
basically, someone came, took $8 worth of I don't know what, and that's it. So
That
imagine
was a long time ago. That was a long time ago.
long, like yeah, probably like
Yeah.
2015, right?
Okay.
2015,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's as a business owner, you always want to expand, right? You always want to be bigger and better.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, no, definitely. We are looking for some options right now. We found some good places. We're still looking, we're still waiting for the best moment to jump on the occasion. But yeah, no, it's very important. You're always, you're, as a business owner, once you see a lineup outside, then you
Yeah.
know that you got to expand, right?
Yeah.
So in the
But,
smaller,
I mean,
yeah.
because also at the same time, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The saying where like if it works, like don't change it. So like
Mhm.
obviously there's a lot of people who would, they would opt for to stay in the same realm, seeing as it's already working. We know this model works. Let's keep it
Mhm.
this way. Whereas if they expand, there's a potential loss that they could make, especially if you go bigger.
Yeah.
That's what that was kind of like the idea of like, well, the sort of the concerns that a lot of my business friends also had, they when they started expanding. It's kind of like, well, we know for a fact with this small business, we know that there's going to be people, we know for a fact, so there's a guaranteed sale during the day. And the
Mhm.
thing that would, that would ruin, if you will, the the model is if we were to expand and then no one came, or not as many people would come. And so I don't know if you have like, that concern also, like as a.
Mm, well, actually, I disagree with that because I feel like if you keep your model the same way you kept it since the day you opened,
Hmm.
then you have nothing to worry about. In my opinion, the fact that you're keeping the
Authentic-
authenticity, well, whatever, you know what I meant. So once you keep that, then and you keep exactly for us example the restaurant, once you never change the quality of the food, never change the, well, prices, obviously inflation and
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it
Yeah.
got to
It,
change
it
up.
is what it is. Yeah, you can't.
It is what it is,
Yeah.
you know. But if you keep the same service, same quality of food, same like you feel like you're in part of a family once you go in the restaurant. Like you've been at the restaurant, I don't know if you felt like you're like it's your brother serving you, whatever serving you. It's literally like that, you know. It's not,
Yeah.
it's nothing fancy, it's not like high class. We don't have any alcohol permit, you know, so you're not there for the vibe, but you're more there for the food.
Yeah.
And this is something that me also, whenever I go to a restaurant, I'm not a huge fan of all the high class, and then whenever they come with your plate, it's like two potato chips and like one asparagus and like
The nice presentation, but like
a
the
nice
lack of.
presentation, and I'm like, bro, like, have you seen my size? You know, have you seen my size? Give me some food. Don't give me a snack,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
And then at the end, you pay like 60, 70 bucks
yeah, yeah,
for
yeah,
that plate, and you're
yeah.
like, you know what? So no, I'm not. And there's a lot of families. They're like that. They don't want the high class thing. They just want the super simple family vibe type
So,
of restaurants.
so I'm curious, like, how do you guys make your menu? Like, oh, do you guys kind of just like get your chefs to like experiment and see what works, or like, well, how did you guys just start making the menu and made it the way it looks?
Well, my dad, he has a culinary degree, right?
Okay,
So he has lots and lots experiences
he's a
when it comes
chef.
to food.
He's a chef.
He's and that's what I always said. If a restaurant is opened by a chef, then you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
You know, like there's some restaurants now. Anyone could open a restaurant, but if they
Mm.
don't have any like
Experience or like actual
experience in the
knowledge.
restaurant business, they close and they fell, right?
Mm.
So my dad worked a lot, very hard to find those recipes, and since that day we never changed those recipes. But whenever we get like a example, like recently we had a one of the best sellers, we did a seafood soup, right?
Mm.
And because we have a huge Egyptian community in the West Island, right? And there was a lot of complaints that our soup that we have currently, it's made with cream. And
Okay.
what happens is that during their fast, they have a certain fast, and the Copts, they have a fast where they can't have any they're basically, oh, don't get me, like, don't quote me on this, but like from what I know, they could eat seafood, but they can't have any milk or cream or
Oh, okay.
any dairy, any meat. They can't have meat. So they we got some complaints like everything is beautiful, everything's delicious, but we want like a soup. So the past in August, we me and one of the chefs, we created a soup. We and on the first try actually, which is, oh, I'm very impressed. On the first try we tried it and it was amazing, and it had soup, like it had seafood. Sorry, it was a huge success. And we were ready. We were comfortable to say, hey, let's try it, and we did it for a limited time offer, and we sold out of it, and people really enjoyed the soup. So it's really sometimes whenever we want to bring something, obviously you got to talk with the big boss, which is my dad. You got to talk with him and see what he thinks, and once he gives the okay, then we experiment. It's like a science class, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
do you look for do you look at other restaurants for inspiration as to what you could potentially make better to restaurant? Do you like look at the menus? Can I compare the prices, the styles, et cetera? Like,
Prices, prices, style, not so much. Maybe in the administration type of vibe.
okay,
When it comes, not like how, like, recently we changed our interact machine with for something much more modern. Our cash register also, we changed it for something much more modern. We're trying to get like modernize a bit
yeah, yeah.
the restaurant. So obviously for me, when I see like a something that pleases me, like example, just for the interact machine, we when I used to work at the bank, we had a small cafe in the
Mm,
bottom. So I used to go to this cafe and I was like, hey, where'd you get this interact machine? So he was like, oh, I'll give you the contacts, whatever you call them. And since that day, we contacted, and we're using the same interact machine. So when it comes to food, we don't need, because we actually get inspired by our hometown in Egypt.
okay, gotcha, gotcha.
So most of our cuisine is really like the cuisine
It's like
we
back
make
home.
in
It's like
Egypt.
back
It's
home.
back home,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
gotcha.
So we don't like other like businesses, other seafood restaurants, whatever. They could do whatever they want to do,
Mm.
and it wouldn't bother me at all. Because
Yeah,
my dad always says, like,
stick to your own
it's
lane.
well, no, it's not only that, but it's more like it's more like they do whatever they want, and
Yeah,
that's how they roll. We do whatever we want, and that's how we roll, and that's it. Like, we're not gonna keep putting our eyes on the competition
yeah.
and see, look what they're doing. Oh my god, what's up with that? Whatever. No, we just focus on ourselves, and that's it. If people want to look at us, then go ahead, look at us.
Mm,
We're not gonna change because you're looking at us. We're not gonna change because you changed.
mm.
We're gonna stay the same canal we used to be, like,
I'm, I'm,
long
cu-
time ago.
I'm curious. You ever look at the customer ratings, the potential of the criticism? Do you actually like? Do you read it and maybe implement their feedback, or you kind of like you're just more like, oh, it's just most of them is just noise or whatever.
you know Obviously you're gonna get those customers, they're gonna leave 1 star and a bad
Yeah,
comment, and
obviously, yeah, yeah,
it happens, right? But the reviews that I enjoy the most aren't the one that gives only 5 stars, right, and no comments. Usually, like, if you go on our Google page, there was one for a 4 stars, right, and he wrote like a
yeah,
huge paragraph, right, and he wrote down like what was the positives, what was the negatives, and for me as a business owner, I would rather have this 4 stars and see or implement something to improve
yeah,
on in the restaurant, and see, okay, he commented on this, he's absolutely right, we got to change it, than having a maybe a 5 stars and saying
great
good
job.
food.
Yeah, good food.
You know what I mean? So I know the food is good, right? But
Yeah,
give me something else.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so like, because myself as a like I used to go to restaurants, but there's always the big stigma on tips. It's also like a subject matter.
Mm.
I always wanted to talk to someone who's actually in the business about this. So like, what do you think? What is your relationship with tips, and what do you like? What's your opinion on it? Is it a nice a good thing to do? Because I know most of it, it's like restaurant owners don't want to pay full wages, so they kind of.
You know what's crazy is for us, we're paying more than the minimum salary,
Mm,
and we give the workers their tips as they deserve or whatever,
yeah.
and we share it all over. For me, the tips right now, they force it. I feel like it's forced
Mm,
now. I feel like now they're giving you options. It used to be 15, 18, 20%. Now
yeah.
it's 20, 25, and 30%. Like,
Yeah.
you're like, hey, buddy, you just turned to the iPad and
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
and
Choose.
you made me pay it.
Choose.
Exactly. You know, I I think workers, they deserve their pay, especially if they're being paid as a waiter, as the minimum wage for a waiter. I don't know. I think it's 11 or 12. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But they absolutely deserve it, right? Because they're giving you a service, they're giving you an experience, they're giving you the best versions of themselves for you.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's what they deserve. They deserve any tips they get. If you go to Timmy's, and well, now they don't do it, but at the time they
Oh, no,
give
the
you a
airport.
tip option.
The airport they do. The airport they do.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you go to Timmy's at the airport and you ask for a bagel, cream cheese, and butter, and like and and then they're like, give me a 15% tip. You're like, uh, I always give, right? But I'm like, all right, here, I'll give
Yeah.
you 50%. So tips these days is so like, I don't know, maybe because it's the economy, maybe it's because
What,
things are going bad, or
what? Yeah, because I don't because in the French model they don't have tips. Because I was talking to a friend of mine, like
Mhm.
I was revamping, rewatching the podcast last year, and like one of the episodes I was talking to my French friend, and he was kind of like, it was so off putting when we first got served a tip, that he was kind of like, what do you mean? Like, am I am I paying for you? Like, what's going on? Like he didn't understand the concept. So
That's it. No, no, no. I get it. It's in Europe they don't have the notion tips. I know in Italy, if you give a tip, that's like spitting on your face. Like
yeah, it's like saying it's
it's very
bad.
taboo. It's very
Yeah,
taboo. Over here, it's become part of our culture. I feel like
yeah.
giving out tips, but I feel like example for us, whenever it's a takeout order, we
Mm.
always take off the tips option, right? We
Oh,
just take
really?
off the yeah, because we've had we it's a Pandora's box, right? It's an issue that we had a couple customers where we left the tip option, and they starting like complaining, how
Complaining.
dare you leave the tip option, whatever, it's only a takeout, you're not giving me a service, whatever.
Mm.
So at that time, I just kept composed and just said, okay, yeah, okay, I'm sorry about that. Here, I'll take off the tip option. Here you go. And that's it. So since that day, I never give out the tip option for takeouts anymore, because I don't want to open this discussion. I don't want to, especially during rush. Everyone's all rushed. Everyone's like stressed out.
Yeah,
Headless chickens running
yeah.
everywhere. So
Well, you guys have like what
yeah.
you guys have like DoorDash or like Uber Eats, or you guys have your
Yeah, of
own delivery
course. Yeah,
service?
yeah. No, no, we have Uber, we have DoorDash. No, actually, we don't have DoorDash. Sorry, we have Skip the
Skip, yeah,
dishes.
okay, Skip, yeah.
We have Skip the dishes and Uber Eats.
And so like for
Yeah.
all the options you have, because I know there's some like the portions you guys have also, like how do you kind of like gauge? Because I know I've been to your restaurant, you serve a lot, which I love. It's like one of the reasons why I love your restaurants, because like essentially it's like a meal that your mom makes for you. It's like it's a you'll be
That's it.
full, right?
That's it, right?
Like it's fish. Usually fish doesn't have a lot of calories, so you usually get really hungry afterwards. But like it makes you
You
full.
get
So like
full afterwards, yeah.
yeah, which I also like it, because like most like Mediterranean sort of
Restaurants, yeah.
restaurants all have the same kind of ethics, where it's put as much as you
Fill it
can,
up.
fill it
Fill,
up.
put some
You know what I
more,
mean?
man. Put
Yeah.
some more.
Whereas
Yeah, yeah.
like here, if you go, because I've been to a couple of restaurants here, they're very stingy about it, and like even the soup, like they would make like a big ass bowl, and like half of it will be full, and like what
Mm.
was the point of all that? So I'm curious, like how do you gauge the size of your portions based also like on your supply and all that stuff?
Yeah. So basically, whenever we get our fish, obviously prices are going to vary, but we're trying to keep it as we don't want to change the prices every single week because of the prices of the seafood we're getting, right?
Yeah.
So we're trying to establish a price point where even if prices go up, we're still gaining a profit out of it.
Mm.
So example, I could say salmon, sometimes prices go up very high, and then sometimes it's very cheap, like during the summer.
Mm.
uh, and we're trying to keep a certain price point where, yeah, maybe we're not going to win a lot, but we're still winning,
Mm.
and we're winning way more when it's when
Okay,
it's
when
cheaper.
it's
You know
cheaper,
what I mean?
gotcha. Yeah, yeah,
You know
gotcha,
what I
gotcha.
mean?
Yeah.
So it balances out at the end of the year. Everything is balanced out. Well, balanced out. It's
You
you know what I mean.
you always set it to a point where you always make a profit, but just depending on how much is kind of the idea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So and also because it doesn't look nice whenever you bring up your prices every single, like, probably not week, but every 6 months you bring up your prices. It doesn't look that appealing,
Yeah.
you know. People get like, oh my god,
He just cares about the money, and that's it. That's yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
It's not that we don't care, you know. It's or we care about the money. It's more like it's it, people don't understand that that's how we eat at home, right?
Yeah, yeah,
This is how we get our money. This is how we pay for our mortgage. This is how we pay for our cars. This is how this is how we pay our workers. This is how we pay for electricity, the everything, the suppliers. So it's not that we want to do it. On the contrary, we don't want to do it.
mm,
But once you reach a point where you have to do it to have a sustainable business,
yeah,
then you got to do it either
yeah,
way, right? So quantity wise, we like you said, you know, we like giving out food. But because seafood, whenever you think of seafood, right, you always think of the high class. You always think, oh
yeah.
my god, lobster, or you're thinking of whatever, you know. You're always thinking expensive. And with our business model is that we want to bring seafood to everyone.
Mm,
Yes, it's going to be a bit more expensive than any meats you're going to eat. That's
mm,
for sure. But for you're going to have more for your buck when you come at our restaurant and eat seafood, like, and literally like whatever you want. We have
hmm.
a huge variety of stuff that you could choose. And what's nice about us is that we work by weight, you know.
Okay.
We have a basic menu where you have different plates that you could order. But what I love suggesting my customers most of the time is to order by weight. Why? Because by weight, not only you're going to have more for your money, but you're also going to have the chance to try a bit of everything,
Hmm.
you know. So you're feeling like a mixed seafood, then all right, then take like, let's say you're like three people, then take like a pound of calamari, like three-quarters of a pound of shrimps, and like half a pound of like scallops, whatever, and like everyone tries something
Everything. Yeah,
different,
yeah,
you know. And then you take a salad, you start with a salad, you start like with the potatoes, you
yeah.
have soup, whatever. And like, it's nice, and I always suggest this to my customers, going by weight, you
Yeah,
know.
my friend, honestly, like the guy who came with me to film the documentary,
Yeah.
he loves the spot. Like every time he's like, I want to be like, I don't have to pay him. My payment will be to bring him to the restaurant. But I was just kind of like, it's interesting because like, I really love the restaurant. That the place, also the food is it's very very delicious, and also the quantity of it. But I was always curious because obviously the more you put on a plate, the more of your resources you're kind of expending. So like
Mhm.
as a as someone who's interested in business and how you guys kind of like manage your sort of your profits, like how, like, obviously in the beginning it's a lot cheaper, so you can get kind of gauge it. You put as much more, more and more food, but nowadays everything gets more and more expensive. So I was kind of like curious how you guys kind of gauge it and not overspend, if you will.
Well, honestly, you want me to be honest, once we opened the restaurant, w- we didn't, like, we used to just put on a plate and
Put on the
whatever,
plate.
and
Yeah, gotcha, gotcha, gotcha.
and not, and not calculate like how many how many spoons you're giving, or
Yeah.
like how many tomatoes you put in the salad. And like, no, we just put it and dump it and that's it, you
Yeah,
know.
because crazy, because like, even like high end restaurant like McDonald's or even like Harvey's and all that stuff, like they would be very stingy to put one pickle on there. It's like, bro, put another
Ah,
one. You know what I mean?
I
And
hate it, bro.
and they're multi-billion dollar companies. Like I don't understand. Like they're very very rich.
Well, you know, maybe that's the reason why they're super rich, right?
Well, yeah,
You,
that's also it.
yeah, I think that's part of the game. You got to do like
Yeah.
best for your business, right? So if you want to put only two pickles in a burger, and you save like let's say maybe like 20 cents per burger, then when if you put like 10 burgers, then you're already saving up $2, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And then this is how they calculate their stuff, right? But for us, like even if we like any other restaurant, like they put like green leaves and like
Oh
cooked
yeah, yeah,
tomatoes.
yeah. The
You know what I
presentation,
mean? Like,
the
yeah,
presentation to make it look nice, and
yeah. No, we like put the tomatoes, put the cucumbers, put the lettuce, put everything, man.
yeah,
But at the end, obviously, we have to like calculate. Like, hey, listen, guys, we shouldn't put that much tomatoes in the salad or like that much cucumbers in the salad. And we have those conversations with our cooks, right? We're like, hey, yeah, keep the great job, but like on the cucumbers and tomatoes, maybe not put as much. You know, be generous, but don't be too
too
generous,
generous.
right?
Exactly.
You
Yeah, I
know.
got you.
So yeah, even like the French fries. Whenever we put a plate of French fries, like being it generous, right? And
Mm,
that's one of the things I like to tell my workers is like, hey, put some more. It's okay. Don't
yeah,
like it's calculated. Put some more.
yeah.
But whenever I see one of the cooks putting a mounting of French fries in a medium
Too
plate,
much.
I'm
Too
like,
much. Too much. Too
I'm
much.
like, hey, buddy, it's nice to be generous, but like not
Yeah.
that generous, you know. Like, but it's fun, you know. So no, like we calculate everything now. Now everything has to be calculated.
Yeah.
What goes out, what goes in, uh, what was the first thing that goes out, how many we stocks, everything. Like, what do we have in the fridge? What do we have in the freezer? What do we have? Before we use YOLO, you know,
Yeah.
like once we open it, YOLO. Hey, Dad, I need cucumbers. Okay, I'm gonna go get the cucumbers. He goes buy buys the cucumbers. No, this shit doesn't work anymore. It's more like everything we have in
Has to
paper
be
now. We have
inventor
to
and inventory.
inventory exactly all the drinks, all the products. So
No.
no, it's very important to have to calculate everything
So,
nowadays.
so I want to talk more about you. What was like as an entrepreneur and as like working full time? I'm guessing you're working full time or still going to school right now?
Well, right now I'm part time
Part
online.
okay. So, but
So
you yeah, you
yeah, I
do
try to take everything online as much as possible so I could be full time on the restaurant. Yeah.
so you're doing what? You're doing marketing right now? You're doing what's your major?
Well, I'm still in finance right now. Still in
Finance.
finance. Yeah, yeah. So
It's so like for you, like what do you think like when someone teaches you like in finance or in like in business like how to manage stuff, do you implement it also into your own personal business, or do you kind of like I
I feel
dad
like it.
I don't want to take over your thing here, but yeah, it's outdated,
You're
man.
doing everything wrong
Yeah.
there, buddy. Nah, honestly, it's the other way around. You know, it's
Oh,
funny because I've spent much more time at the business than at school. So whenever they teach you something in business management or whatever, I'm like, huh, okay. So example, I write in my notes, let's say how to deal with a worker or whatever. I'm like, okay, canal, this certain person, this situation, whatever. And this is how I study, right? And it's funny because I like I told you, I'm not really a school guy, right?
yeah,
I'm more like a hands-on person. So I
yeah.
gotta experience it. I gotta put my hands on work, you know? So it's funny. So whenever a teacher tells me something accounting wise, he's telling me you got to do this, 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 this. I'm like, oh, okay. Look, canal, inventory,
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
profit losses, whatever. So it's funny. I always use our business as a
I,
strategy to my studying, which
okay.
is it's helping. So it's fun. Yeah.
Well, it's actually good because like you have like actual first-hand experience, so you can compare it. You can make analogies that actually you have a personal like interest in. Because obviously,
Yeah, exactly.
if you like learn stuff you don't really care about it, it's gonna be tough to actually like implement what you learn. But like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
seeing as your own business is kind of reliant on what you do, what you're doing, like you know,
So sometimes the teacher's gonna say, "Oh, well, the best thing to do in this situation is this, that, whatever," right?
yeah,
And I'm like, "Are you sure about that?
yeah.
Well, I've been there, and I think that the solution is there." And I don't
Do
want
you,
to debate with the
oh,
teacher,
you don't
you
have the
know?
weights. You don't have the weights. You don't have the weights.
Yeah. And then you're like, there's 150 people in the auditorium, or like 40 people in the class, and you're like, does he know what he's talking about, or like, am I missing something?
That, that, that's a good thing. I'm curious because also like well from my background, like when I do film, obviously I went to film the film studies, but at the same time like what we're doing was mostly analyzing and like looking at things technically, and there's a lot of things I didn't like really agree with, and maybe I learned stuff obviously, but like there's stuff that I was like I don't know about that. Like I'm curious, like how do you think school in terms of like business wise is an essential thing? Like, do you think you have to go to school to learn about business management and all this stuff, or like learning on the job is also as beneficial, seeing as you did both? You're doing it both at the moment.
So yeah, from my perspective, like I told you, I'm very a hands-on person.
Mm.
So I feel like there's a lot of stuff I learned working on the business, dealing with the restaurant, but that's more on the on the
Okay,
field, but
gotcha.
there's some technicalities where you have to like, that teachers are teaching you, and you're like, oh yeah, maybe he's right on this point,
Mm,
like maybe he does have a point. But whenever it's about experiences, when a teacher tells you to do something, and you're like, well, I've been in this situation and I dealt it this way and it went perfectly fine, then sometimes you can have disagreements. So I
mm,
feel like, I know the vibe right now is like, oh, you don't need a diploma to succeed in life, whatever, blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. In Canada, you have opportunities, you
mm.
have stuff to do, but I still think like there's nothing wrong having a diploma on the side, and like just keep it on the side and put it on a frame, and
It
that's
also
it.
it also helps with your credibility, I guess. Also,
I mean, yes and no. Like I could say that like I'm a finance guru from Harvard or whatever, and like I could be a bum in front of
yeah,
people. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
yeah, maybe because you could be like street smart, you could be book smart, you could be both. So
yeah,
why not have both, right?
yeah,
So I feel for me it's important to have like the business mindset, but also have the school mindset, and just
mm,
mix it together and
yeah.
reach the
Blended.
top.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious. What is your impression of GMSB students? Because
Uh,
because here's the thing. Because like I did a couple of JMSB classes, and there's always a stigma with business people. Like I don't there's also a stigma with like every single thing. Like like the science people are very introverted and very judgy, and like you don't have a 4.0, you're shit. Or like
mm,
people who are in arts are kind of just like all woke and stuff and all pain in the ass and all this stuff.
yeah.
When then you have people in business who are also like very snobby and kind of like, I made millions of dollars today. How much you made?
I,
You know what I mean? So I'm
you
curious, like, what?
take
Yeah. Oh, you
you
think?
you took the words out of my mouth. I feel like GMSB students are very snobby, very like, they love to flex, love to flex. Example, me, whenever I used to go classes, I'm a sweatpants and hoodie type of
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I put my,
Relaxed,
I'm
relaxed.
very relaxed. I could go with my slides. I don't get, like, I don't care. I'm just here to learn my class, and that's it.
That's
But
it.
then you have like those students. They have the turtleneck with the vest, nice pants, and nice shoes or whatever, and they're looking at you in a certain way. And I'm like, yo, buddy, leave me alone. Like, I'm at the same class. I have a business. Leave me alone. And they're looking at you in a certain way, but no, but and like, from the people I knew in the classes, there's a lot of great people where they're very nice, very chill. They have the same mentality as me, as like, you don't need to be flexing, or like,
Yeah.
or like, showing off your money, showing off your stuff.
Mm.
So no, it's really, I understand the image of GMSB students, like from the outside, that they were snobby and like weird, whatever. But at the same time, there's people like me who like
Yeah.
don't give a damn about anyone, you know.
So
So
so do you think you're gonna like you're gonna stay in the restaurant business, or you think of maybe changing like I mean this is very very like soon, but like you'll always evolve. But like as of now, do you think that the restaurant business is going to be the business you're going to be staying in, or you're thinking of maybe starting your own business on the side or something else?
well, I would love continuing the restaurant business because I love it. I grew
Mm,
up in it. I
mhm,
did everything for it, you know. So it's like I wouldn't give up anything for it.
mm,
Uh, Obviously, I have different projects that I want to do in the future. I want to do like some stuff that I'm not really know, like I don't know a lot about it, so I need like guidance from other people. But that's the beauty of owning a restaurant actually, is that you meet a lot of customers that are in different types of businesses,
mhm,
and you get to learn a lot. You get to learn a lot, especially when you have conversations with them and they talk about like how they run their business, how they have issues in their business or whatever, and you're like start thinking, oh, that's interesting, whatever. So there's a lot of networking
mm.
when you have a restaurant, because you meet up a lot of people in different fields, and not only in business, maybe in the medical
Yeah, yeah,
or
and every domain, every
in
domain.
every domain you meet up with so many people. And I love that, I love learning a lot about even old people, like old people, they would come and tell stories about their lives, and you're like, oh damn, like it's actually interesting. Like I'm not doing this for business purposes. I'm really interested,
Interested, yeah,
I'm really interested. So I have a couple of phone numbers actually of old people, and they're like, whenever you're free, give me a call. We're going to go for a coffee, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, for sure. Do I have the time? No. Would I love having the time?
yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a different
Because there's
question. That's a different
there's a
question.
lot of knowledge, lots and lots of
Yeah,
knowledge, especially not in terms of like
just
business
life in
or
general, just
school
life.
or whatever, but it's life in general.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot to learn from old people than what you see on social media,
Mm,
or their social media guru, and they're saying, "Oh, your life is effed up," or whatever. So
yeah.
yeah,
All right, well, finally, for this last question before we wrap up, is there anything
yep.
you want to say in the documentary that, well, I may have cut out, or you may have like hesitated to say? Like, is there like something you wanted to talk about specifically about concerning your family growing up and all this stuff, or your family, or your business, your own personal interests, etc., etc.
Well, one thing I wanted to say really, and I think I want to say to everyone like in our age, is that life is a marathon, guys. Don't think that because you're 25 or you're not graduated or you don't have a business or whatever, that you're failing your life. And I feel like there's this message that on social media that, oh, I did this at 18, I did this at 19, I did
Hmm.
this at 20, whatever, I have a multi-million dollar business at 23 or whatever, and people see that kind of shit and they're like, they're downgrading themselves. So I just want to leave a message to everyone that, like, hey, life is a marathon. We've all been through dark moments. We've all been like in difficult moments, but we're still here. We're still doing our best. And I'm just obviously coming from me because it's my dad's restaurant or whatever. And like, well, me, I've been in the dark places when I used to work at the business. It wasn't it wasn't like
It was in
it
rainbows
was
and unicorns. It was in rainbows and
no,
unicorns.
no,
Yeah,
definitely not.
you have to earn it. You have to earn it
If
the hard way.
yeah, the hard way, especially fights with the families and like, well, fights with friends and fights with everyone, and you get trying to please everyone. And like, listen, you're maybe 25, 26, 27, whatever year. You have time in front of you. You shouldn't give up and and
Yeah, put
like
yourself down. Put
and
yourself down. Yeah.
put yourself down, because your number one enemy in this world is no one else than yourself. And I feel like if you're going to be an enemy of yourself, then you're not helping your cause and you're not helping yourself. So
Yeah.
please, guys, life is a marathon. Don't rush anything. You got it. We're all been through it. And yeah, we're maybe not doctors or engineers or lawyers, but we're happy, you know. We're satisfied. We have our goals, we have our plans. So keep pushing, and there's time in front of us. No rush.
Inshallah.
Yes.
So yeah, so if you want to promote anything, a new special that's coming out in at Le Canal or whatever, shout out
Well,
to.
give me a follow on Instagram,
Mhm.
Mo Gawish, MOGAWISH. Give a follow to the restaurant. We're actually doing a giveaway on our restaurant page.
I'll
We're
link
giving
everything
a
in description. I'll link everything in description. Just
Oh,
send it to
very
me.
good, very good.
Yeah, yeah.
We're doing a giveaway right now. So watch the video, give it a like, post, tag your friends, whatever. And yeah, Restaurant Canal, 4945 Boulevard Saint-Jean. You know, come see us. And yeah, no, it was a pleasure being here. Thank you.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a NewCrown podcast. I am Daryl, and this has been Mohammed. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Another guest will appear. Who knows who it will be? See you guys.